Good evening. It's Thursday, November 17th. Time for our news. I'm Konstantinos Tsindas. President Anastasiadis concluded a two-day round of meetings with the Greek government and political leadership, during which he briefed them in detail on the results of the Cyprus settlement talks at Montpellerin and outlined the state of play in light of the second round of negotiations with Mustafa Akinci, focusing on territory and scheduled to start on Sunday at the same venue. Anastasiadis today held talks with leaders of parliamentary parties, while yesterday he held talks with Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, President of the Greek Republic Prokopis Pavlopoulos, and the leader of the main opposition New Democracy Party Kyriakos Mitsotakis. The President returned to Cyprus this afternoon to prepare for a round of separate briefings of leaders of parliamentary parties tomorrow and Saturday. He leaves for Montpellerin on Saturday afternoon for the second round of negotiations with Akinci, expected to resume on Sunday and last through to Monday evening, with the possibility of an extension if necessary. The talks had initially been scheduled over a three-day period. Meanwhile, government spokesman in Athens, Dimitris Tzanakopoulos, said that Greece was very clear in its position that negotiations between all sides should continue before reaching any agreement on holding a multilateral conference on the security and guarantees aspect of the Cyprus issue. He further noted, however, that at the present time, the necessary conditions were lacking in order to hold such a conference. Commenting on yesterday's Anastasiadis-Tsipras talks, the Greek government spokesman disclosed that the next joint steps were agreed between the two leaders, as well as the need to keep communication channels open and coordinate their action on the Cyprus issue. In remarks to our station, Tzanakopoulos stressed that Athens remains steadfast in its position that the anachronistic system of foreign guarantees in Cyprus must be done away with, adding that Turkish troops must withdraw in order for any solution to be just and viable. Airstrikes pounded neighborhoods around a children's hospital and a blood bank in rebel-held eastern Aleppo over the past 24 hours. The renewed bombing has killed more than 60 people, many of them civilians, according to a war monitor, medics and emergency workers. The air raids formed part of a wider military escalation by the Syrian government and allies, including Russia, which fired coordinated volleys of missiles at rebels and for the first time used its only aircraft carrier. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a Britain-based war monitor, said the airstrikes on eastern Aleppo on Wednesday alone killed more than 30 people. Air raids also continued in the countryside west of Aleppo, from which rebels have launched assaults on government-held areas. An attack on the village of Badbo killed at least 19 people. Moscow has denied reports that its jets have hit Aleppo in the renewed wave of bombardment and said it was sticking to a moratorium on airstrikes in the city. The World Health Organization said there had been heavy attacks on 5 hospitals in Aleppo and Idlib provinces since Sunday, severely reducing access to health services for people in northern Syria. One day before U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's first meeting with a foreign leader, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Japanese officials said they had not finalized when or where in New York it would take place, who would be invited, or in some cases, whom to call for answers. Uncertainty over the talks shows the difficulties in turning Trump from a freewheeling businessman into a sitting president with a watertight schedule and a fully functioning administration by his inauguration on January 20th. Trump is expected to use the Abe meeting to reassure Japan and other Asian allies rattled by his campaign rhetoric. Speculation about top appointments to the Trump administration has intensified since the head of the team overseeing the transition, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, was removed last week and replaced by Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Transition team officials said last night that Trump planned to announce landing teams later today that would begin setting up staff in key agencies like the State and Justice Departments. And finally this evening, scientists have found evidence that tiny distant Pluto harbors a hidden ocean beneath the frozen surface of its heart-shaped central plain, containing as much water as all of Earth's seas. The finding, reported yesterday in 2 research papers published in the journal Nature, adds Pluto to a growing list of worlds in the solar system beyond Earth believed to have underground oceans, some of which potentially could be habitats for life. Pluto's ocean, which is likely slushy with ice, lies 150 to 200 kilometers beneath the dwarf planet's icy surface and is about 100 kilometers deep. Liquid water is considered one of the essential ingredients for life. That's it for our news. Now the weather. Fine skies tomorrow. Winds will be moderate northeasterly to southeasterly force 4 and in certain areas moderate to strong force 4 to 5 over slight seas. Temperatures will reach 22 degrees Celsius inland and in coastal regions and 12 over the mountains. The fire hazard does remain high in all forest areas. That's it from us. More news tomorrow. Good evening, everyone.